Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Josh Shupp. I'm with eschbach, and the title of our webinar today is AI in Manufacturing, Turning Data into Actionable Intelligence. Joining me today is Alex Ramos Soszna from Bayer. And before I get going, I'll turn it over to Alex to introduce himself.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah, so my name is Alex Ramos. I'm a digital systems and AI expert at Bayer Crop Science. My title actually describes it really well. So I'm a digital systems expert through eschbach. I work in collaboration with our IT team to implement and deploy the eschbach solutions across all of our global sites. And then from the AI side, I work closely to the business, enabling them with the technologies available to us internally, as well as have built several AI tools within the company, like the one you'll see at the end of this presentation. But excited to be with you guys here today, and kick it back to you, Josh.
Thanks a lot, Alex. A little bit about me. Been in the industry on the technology side for about the past 12 years, helping various types of process manufacturers with digital transformation, problem solving, various projects. Excited to be here today. Currently part of the eschbach go-to-market team, and we work with chemical, pharma, all different types of process manufacturers. So quick look at our agenda here for today, but first, a bit of housekeeping. The Teams interface here, I'm sure, is all too familiar to most of us, but the webinar version here has a Q&A button up at the top center of your screen. So throughout the presentation today, throughout the session, if you have a question, please do enter it there. We'll get to those naturally at the end of our session. So I'll speak for a little bit first to introduce eschbach and our Seqonis intelligent operations platform, and then I'll turn it over to Alex to talk about Bayer's journey, kind of their strategy, and then we'll just open it up for conversation. So appreciate everybody joining us here today for the better part of an hour. If you're not familiar with eschbach, we were founded back in 2005 in Germany. Since that time, our solution in our company has undergone quite the evolution, quite the expansion. Over the past 20 plus years, we've expanded to over 100,000 users globally. We're in 30 countries across the world. So perhaps I know there are folks on this call who know eschbach, but if you don't, we're a very well-established vendor and supporting customers all over the world. Our current platform is called Seqonis. Seqonis represents the all-encompassing suite of technology that we provide. If you have heard of a system called Shift Connector, that is actually the technology that was our founding technology over 20 years ago. So Shift Connector, as the name implies, connects shifts to one another digitally, communication, like electronic logbooks, handovers, that type of thing. But as the technology has evolved, and you'll see what that looks like here at a high level, it was fitting to we outgrew just the shift connector concept, still provide that type of technology today, of course, but it's now part of our overarching Seqonis platform. Quick cross-section of some of our users, the names that you would probably expect to see. A lot of you may work for these companies, or these are your peers or competitors, or all of the above. And we really exist to solve the daily communication challenges in process manufacturing. So various departments, various systems have popped up over the past few decades, from historians to ERPs to QMS systems, safety systems, all different types of systems. And we're trying to manage the communication that takes place throughout our plant on a daily basis. And that can be a challenge. We've seen all different types of approaches at it, from paper to Excel to homegrown solutions. So The Seqonis platform at its core, the founding technology kind of helps harmonize everyone just to solve, the types of problems that you see on the right-hand side of the screen. It's just tasks being unclear, trying to get that communication, what happened on the last shift, what do I need to be aware of, just a general communication and operational discipline. So really, as I mentioned, we help really kind of be the single pane of glass on top of your operations team with visibility throughout the various management layers into what's going on and what do we need to be aware of and who's accountable for what. The platform concept I mentioned before. So again, those of you familiar with Shift Connector, Shift Connector's been around for a while. You may even hear Alex or even myself say Shift Connector today, just as a crutch or a slip. And really, when we talk about Shift Connector, that's really just one piece of our intelligent operations platform today. That's the evolution I was talking about before, where yes, we still want to make sure we enable that communication from shift to shift, department to department, even plant to plant, site to site. But now the platform encompasses all types of KPI-based roll-ups, tier-based dashboarding, collaborations, leader standard work. There's numerous operational technology tools inside of the platform that we're not really going to focus on that today, but just so you're aware of who we are as a vendor and what our solution can provide. The key piece here for today's conversation is this bit here about enhanced by SAMI. And SAMI is eschbach's AI powerhouse. It stands for Seqonis Artificial Manufacturing Intelligence. So SAMI has been ingrained inside of our entire platform here recently. And now everything that we do touches on and can be enhanced with AI. What that also enables then is the platform itself to enable our customer base and the users in their own AI journeys beyond just the Seqonis platform. So Alex will talk specifically about that. It's important to understand that we're not new to the AI game. So team was founded back in 2018. So although that was only 8 years ago, that's still quite a long time ago in the grand scheme and realm of AI. So we collaborate with 2 universities in Germany, University of Göttingen, University of Wuppertal, and we also have grant-type relationships with German government and others. So that is our team. They've been hard at work and they've been winning awards. And almost more importantly, our customers have been winning awards for their use and deployment of AI solutions. So you can see the catching on quite well. We're very proud of our success and more proud of what we've been able to enable our customers to do. And I think the reason for that is just because we didn't just jump out saying, hey, we need to do AI as well. Let's do some AI. No, we started off looking for what problems should we solve? What is actually going to move the needle in the industry? And we approached it with 3 main pillars. So knowledge transfer. It is no secret to anybody in the industry that one key concept, not even over the last 10 years, even longer, is just the concept that our expertise and our knowledge is fading out of our plants. Whether that's the 40-year-old expert or 40-year expert, 40-year tenured expert. 40 is very young, take it from me. But the 40-year vet at a given site who knows how a piece of equipment should run based on how it sounds. When we lose that to retirement or similar, that's a critical loss for our team. When a solid engineer takes a job with the plant down the street, that's also a loss of that institutional knowledge. So how can we use AI to help bridge the gap and strengthen us in that way? Of course, using AI for faster problem solving, right? Everybody wants to get faster answers. This is really how a lot of us use other AI tools in our daily lives. How can I use AI to write emails for me, do these tasks for me? In our case, find solutions for me to process events or plant issues. And then, of course, building on that concept, how do we use AI for continuous improvement? So if we look at these 3 pillars, we've deployed solutions that you see across the bottom here. Five different kind of key functionalities to address these three areas. They're at various phases of maturity. Some of them, most of them are available, and some of them are coming along quite nicely. You're going to see examples here, brief examples of our SAMI chat feature, which works very similarly to how you would see another chat tool in AI, as well as our SAMI input assistant. What is the SAMI input assistant? Good question. I'll explain that here when the time is right. So to give you an idea, kind of break these down visually, here you've got a search feature. Everybody's familiar with how search works. Search is nothing new, but AI-powered search is really neat because it understands the context of your question to try to help find answers that may not match a keyword search, given things that Alex might describe versus the way I might describe something. The AI is able to understand the context that both Alex and I meant. And then solutions. Well, pretty much folks who are searching for things in an operational system like Seqonis are probably looking to understand what happened or look for solutions to things. So our solutions AI piece takes things a step further to say, hey, if you're looking for cleaning issues related to reactor 4, or reactor BR01, you're probably looking for a way to fix it or solutions. So here you can see the way that the solutions are presented out, not necessarily focused so much on the search capacity, but really how do I fix this? The neat thing here is you can see who is suggesting the solution. So if there's one expert at your site who put in something, you can see who he or she really knows what they're talking about. I'm going to upvote this, and that just helps again bridge that knowledge transfer component I talked about a few minutes ago. And then of course the chat, just like any chat you might have. Hey, what type of issues did we have? What happened over the weekend? If we look at a live example here of a chat, we've got a chat now as a user who is curious from an OEE perspective. So again, one of the other components of our platform is OEE and loss accounting. So in this case, we have a user who wants to know what the top 5 losses were on May 2nd for line 3. Compare it to May 1st and exclude the unaccounted losses. And I want you to summarize it in a management summary and recommend 2 actions. So if we let this video play, you can see the prompt get entered, and then you'll see how SAMI is giving the management type summary there with bar charts, as well as a table of losses. And then, of course, what changed given the day comparison that we asked for. And then, of course, here's the 2 recommendations that we've also been looking for. So that's an example of the chat. How do we use it to summarize things, to make our lives easier, give us answers to questions, summarize it, turn it into an email, for example. Now, the input assistant, one of the things I mentioned before is the SAMI or the Seqonis technology for that shift-to-shift communication or that electronic logbook type functionality. So as events unfold throughout the day, we're either integrating that in automatically to our platform, or users are identifying these things and logging them as they see it. So here's an example of where we can streamline that input. What would otherwise be a form that we fill out to say, this is what happened, this is where it happened, this is who's responsible for following up, etc. We can do something here, as this video will show, where we take a picture of an image, and then of course SAMI will infer from the image what it's seeing, ask a few follow-up questions, and then be able to return a form inside of our platform to log this as an event. And maybe, again, this is something that might require some sort of maintenance notification to be generated as well. So you can see this is moving through, helping the user. This is what the form might look like with pre-population. So ultimately, very helpful, very cool to be able to infer simply from what's in an image to then being able to assist the user to do typical tasks in a much faster way. Looking ahead to the future, as far as our AI roadmap is concerned, one of the cool things that we're working on is agent-to-agent communication, and this is something that I really find interesting because last 12 years I've been doing technology in this space, a lot of early problem detection type projects, and those always require integrations to historians, LIMS systems, ERPs, and I'm sure everybody on this webinar has done some sort of project where you've integrated data from various sources before. And that is me going to my process data system to get an insight or to get a piece of data. That is me going to my LIMS system to get a piece of data. With the ability for agents to communicate, these agents turn into localized experts for all of the information that they have access to. So SAMI becomes the operational data expert that can then talk with our time series data experts, our quality system data experts. So now instead of, an analytics tool integrating with a data historian to pool time series data, or pull LIMS results, we have experts now integrating and talking to one another. So it really becomes exciting to think how this can all integrate together, and to take that a step further. I know many companies are deploying their own type of internal GPTs that can be connected with the MCP as well. So really a fun and exciting future for the world of AI. It's not just hey, how can we write emails faster? But really the type of opportunities that this type of integration, when all these different vendors all have their own agents and now they can all communicate together, is really going to accelerate us on our way down our journey of those three pillars that we talked about earlier for why we started off on this journey in the first place. So that is enough about us. At this point, I would like to turn it over to Alex to talk about Bayer's AI journey. Take it away, Alex.
Yep. I've shifted you guys over here to the right in case there's questions in the Q&A. Just make sure to put them in there so Josh can prompt me the questions. But yeah, before we get started with AI or Seqonis, much like Josh did for eschbach, I want to anchor you guys on why this matters and give you a brief overview of who Bayer is. So Bayer is a life science company and a global leader in healthcare and nutrition. At Bayer, we don't do technology just for the sake of technology. We always start with our mission that you'll see there at the bottom: health for all, hunger for none. So when we talk about AI or digital manufacturing or really anything else, like our partners like eschbach, we're really centering back into that larger mission of how we can help those sites operate better for health for all, hunger for none. And that is where eschbach becomes really important for us. It gives us a structured operational backbone, not only as a software tool, but also that knowledge from the shop floor, so it can become usable and searchable and everything you need from your data across your sites. Bayer operates across three divisions. You have the crop science division, which, as I mentioned in my introduction, I'm part of, the pharmaceuticals, consumer health, and then at the lowest level, you have the enabling functions. So crop science focuses around our agricultural products, both in the chemical and seeds business. The pharmaceutical space focuses on clinical indications like oncology, hematology, ophthalmology, those more advanced things. And consumer health is your local pharmacy source of products, the ones that are for colds and for pain, allergies, those sorts of things. And so that is where the complexity comes in. We are not just one site or one region or even just one business type. We have multiple divisions, different production environments. The different divisions are at different maturity levels. So it's important for us to have tools like the ones offered by eschbach that can, again, provide that central data repository. Finally, last slide for Bayer before I dive into why AI. So we have a forward-looking statement that you can read here on your side. It's a pretty standard one, but it just reminds us that we're discussing a direction of travel. We're not making any guarantees. So again, please take a second to read that and don't take obviously investment decisions based on this, or take my word for as the only foundation of Bear. So the way this presentation is structured is I have about 3 sections. The first one is going to be talking about how Bear is utilizing AI at high level. Then I'll talk a little bit about how we're collaborating with eschbach. And then finally, I'll conclude with a story about a creative way that I'm leveraging AI for product management. So diving into that first one, over the last several years, Bayer, like many other life science companies and biotech companies, has invested heavily in AI. That comes to no surprise. And it's done primarily in 3 ways. So we've empowered employees through MyGen Assist, Copilot, and other tools available internally, so that we've created an environment for business users and other people to generate solutions by themselves. What we're seeing is now there's a transition from just personal productivity to the operational productivity. From a higher level approach, there's IT teams or more technical groups generating the next generation of agentic applications. Here, you can start thinking about some of the collaboration that we do with eschbach. As you're going to see here in a second, using the data coming out of these different systems, you can utilize that with IT and more technical groups to generate those agentic applications. And finally, we're doing so with collaboration and strategic partnerships. This is another bucket where eschbach fits in. Josh mentioned SAMI and the MCP and advancements that they're doing on their end. As a large corporation, you also depend on vendors to bring the solutions with AI where they matter most. And so it's important for us to have these collaborations, strategic partnerships to move the ball forward. Regardless of which approach we take when it comes to using artificial intelligence at Bayer, we're always committed to ethical and responsible use of AI. We have a very human-centric approach, and as I mentioned before, always focusing on the mission of health for all and hunger for none. So with this, I will talk a little bit about the collaboration of eschbach with eschbach and the Seqonis platform. Or actually, before I jump to that point of collaboration, I wanted to share the footprint of where we as Bayer have used the Seqonis platform, so you understand the magnitude of the impact that I'll dive into. So we use Seqonis's 3 core products across 2 divisions, that being crop science and pharma, and the 7 business regions. So you might be thinking, actually, Alex, 7 regions, is that a typo? No, Seqonis is so good that even the polar bears use it. Obviously kidding. Bayer Crop Science has 4 geographic regions, so you can see there on the screen by the color codes. And then we have 3 additional ones that they're global businesses, and we treat them as regions when talking to Seqonis and planning internally. And those are active ingredient manufacturing, our vegetables business, and then Ruvion, which is our glyphosate arm. Seqonis Core is the product that, as Josh mentioned, we call Shift Connector internally. It's a very strong foundation, something that sites can grab off the shelf to implement into their operations. For sites that previously did things on paper, had physical notebooks, used Excel for these shift logs and shift handovers. That is what Seqonis Core is replacing, digitizing the way that teams do shift handover. We have that implemented at about 40 sites across all the 7 regions that I mentioned. Seqonis Go is the checklisting tool for Seqonis. That one is currently still at a scaling process right now. We have it implemented at about 10 sites, 20 plants. Here to mention, a site might have different plants, and so we implement that at the plant level. And this one's implemented at key sites and some of the largest ones we have. And then finally, Seqonis OEE, which internally we call AI Performance. If I slip and I mention it later in the presentation, that's one that's critical to understand our operational equipment efficiency, overall equipment efficiency, and that one's implemented at about 20 sites in 5 of our regions. So now we can actually look at the collaboration with eschbach and the platform. As I mentioned, at Bayer, AI is no longer an experiment. Our journey is moving from experimentation to enterprise value and moving away from the personal productivity I was mentioning to the more agentic applications created by business users. So it's becoming a part that is really important in how we operate, collaborate, and create value. We have moved beyond just asking whether AI is useful in certain situations, and now are more focused on how AI creates a more meaningful business impact. Our approach here is this next frontier is a collaboration between IT and business teams to return powerful applications. So that next stage, as mentioned, is uh, embedding AI directly into the operational workflows instead of helping someone write an email faster, like Josh mentioned previously. We want to start helping them be able to solve production problems quicker and have access to the operational knowledge at their fingertips. At the end, in hopes to make better business decisions. One of the biggest lessons we've learned with AI, or at least I've learned with AI, is that AI is only as powerful as the context and knowledge that you're feeding into it. Um, even larger, an observation I continue to make is a lot of companies tend to invest first in the technology or the tool for AI, when in reality, the bigger differentiator tends to be how usable your operational data is. So, like many other large corporations, we have an infinite amount of sensors, historians, reporting systems in the manufacturing space at our sites. So, what is often missing is that operational context around those systems. That can include why something happened, what action was taken, who encountered some sort of similar issue previously, maybe at the site or another site, workarounds that were successful. The list goes on. Shift notes explained, and really anything. And all that becomes the context that is really valuable when combining it with AI. AI is a system that is able to read an immense magnitude of information and able to take some sort of direction or insight. Whether that be correct or incorrect, the user can decide that. But when you're using it in the correct ways and giving that AS context and having a human behind it, you can have you can create really powerful applications. So the future doesn't become about better models. It's about connecting these AIs to data to workflows where the decisions are made. And that's a strategic partnership that we have with Seqonis. Obviously, no one owns all the data, all the context and expertise required, but Seqonis gives you all the information across what happened in a day or a shift that now you can go and use to address more complex questions across different systems. So one might have a question about, there was a specific loss that happened, which batches were affected, maybe some further questions. That information is coming from an MES system, from Shift Connector, from IO Performance, Seqonis OEE, and many others. And so by using Seqonis as the data behind why things may have happened in the context, that's how you start delivering a really complex questions and answers and different insights. So our approach here in general, as mentioned here at the bottom right, is delivering together. It's keeping a good collaboration with Seqonis and the eschbach team to continue doing this and bridge the gap between enterprise AI, the ambition of enterprise AI, and the operational reality of manufacturing sites. Diving now into the last portion, the creative way of how we are leveraging AI internally. Now we're turning our head towards how we're using AI for product management. So what you're seeing here on the screen is a smart hub. You can think about it as a really smart SharePoint page that is starting to connect information from a lot of systems. Information tended to be disjointed. Some information on SharePoints, some on Teams threads, even some information on emails or other data sources. This is a one intelligent entry point. In the video here on the right, you're seeing a user being able to search for a question like, where can I find training videos in multiple languages? And it redirects it. It looks through all the repository of information that we have, all those valuable resources that the IT team and business teams have so carefully curated, and it redirects them directly to that point. On my end, it saves me a lot of time because users, when asking simple questions, don't have to come to me. They can come to this hub and find the answer right at their fingertips. On their end, it's really beneficial, especially when you're talking about an organization that works across a lot of different time zones. It's removing that friction point of having to wait for me to wake up to answer some sort of question, or me not being available exactly when they need me most. And this goes back to a foundational problem that any company faces, that adoption doesn't necessarily fail because of a product. It fails from the friction of not having the information quickly, or making it tough for them to adopt the technology. And this removes that friction completely. It shows you what resources exist, how to submit tickets. And so in a world where information used tend to be scattered, here you have it in one location. Important to note, given the power of AI, we're able to offer this platform across all languages of our sites. We have sites in every corner of the world, speaking many different languages. They can come here, use the language that they're most comfortable in, and find those answers. Adding to that, in this exact same website, I wanted to show you guys an AI-aided ticketing system that is, I think, extremely powerful. And I'll do so in the form of a story here, a true story. So I remember we took a trip to Latin America to understand their needs for the upcoming quarters. It was a regular planning session. And in between a lot of the comments was a comment that one of the operators, when they wanted to submit a ticket, they would reach out to someone they didn't know English, and they would reach out to someone at the site that did speak English to write the ticket for them. This ticket would then be rerouted or routed to our help center. And then there, it would be triaged, either if it was something that needed to go to Seqonis, something that needed to go to the IT team, internal to Bayer, or maybe something that needed to come to me. Once we got that ticket, information was missing, whatever it may be. There was a gap in the ticket. We had to go all the way back down that help chain. There we already lost 24 hours, especially again when you're talking about multiple regions and multiple time zones. And so this ticketing system is meant to cut that from the get-go. An operator can now go into this ticketing system, and once the video restarts, you'll see they're able to click ticket in their local language. And when they open up the ticket in the local language, they fill in every single time the same details: what division they're part of, their region, their site, their plant, which product that they need help with. Is this a run issue or some sort of change request? And then finally, they're offered the opportunity to use voice-to-text transcription. They can just talk for a couple of minutes, and then when they hit refine description, when done in English, it's just going to refine that description in English. If it's done in another language like Spanish, like shown right now, it's going to refine it in Spanish as well as English. English being the language that all of the people within the ticketing system use at the highest level. And so when the user clicks go, it generates a ticket. Here in this one was Spanish, so you can see the description there, number 6. It's in Spanish, and then it's going to be in English, the exact same thing. Having now this ticketing system standardized, you can start thinking about future automations. So on my end, as a product owner, this opens up now a sea of opportunities that I have by being able to see the tickets in a more organized fashion, always coming in the same way, and leverage even more capabilities with AI for, we'll call this personal productivity. I can follow up on tickets easier. I can start looping people in if I need to. And then for the site, it removes that friction completely. They can open up a ticket at any point of the day in any language, skip having to talk to someone at the site. Uh, Limit the amount of incomplete tickets that we receive because it has a standard format that they must fill out. And so with that, I hope you can see how we're leveraging AI at Bayer. We talked a little bit about how we are doing AI at scale at Bayer through IT enablement of people at the across the organization. Then we talked about the collaboration with eschbach. Josh mentioned SAMI as well as the MCP, which are great ways to pull that information into for you to use internally. I talked a little bit more about how that collaboration is allowing us to do the development internally through our own data lake. And then finally, we touched here on this use case for leveraging AI in a more personal productivity product management type of way. With that, I think we can move to questions, Josh.
Well, thank you very much, Alex. Very impressive. And as someone myself who's done lots of projects with companies on a global scale, I can only imagine how much the adoption would improve with teams being able to find information and submit tickets in their own local languages. I mean, I know you've done obviously plenty of deployments of all types of solutions out there in your career. Did you really see like a noticeable uptick in tickets or in adoption, faster rollouts from what you put together? I mean, it seems like the answer to that question is obvious, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think what was most affected with that ticketing system was the speed at which we could get back to them, right? It cut the help chain in almost in half. A lot of the tickets were questions that I could answer or help triage as well, get to the right hands. I think we actually have gotten some maybe less tickets in some ways because we also within the ticketing system have a warning. Go talk to your local process expert. They might be able to address a lot of questions. So we're allowing the IT team to get some time back there as well. So it's higher value tickets is how we'll put it. We've gotten more high value tickets. Yep.
That's a great point, right? I mean, sometimes the solution may not be a ticket. It just may be the user solving the problem with the tools they already have access to now that they know how to find them and they can efficiently find them. That's great. Well, yes, thank you, Alex. We can move over to our Q&A session now. But for anyone who is interested in maybe learning a bit more, I wanted to share some contact information here as well as our upcoming show schedule here on the US side. We do have other shows globally, but certainly happy to answer any questions that folks have related to that. But let's get to the questions here that we have for our webinar attendees. So again, if you have a question, the Q&A slot up at the top is where you can type them in. So let's see. Let's start with this one. This is for Alex. What has been the thing that has surprised you the most with your AI journey? Certainly not looking for specifics, but what sticks out to you the most as something you didn't see or expect prior to embarking on the journey?
Yeah. And I think I mentioned this a little bit. I'll expand on it. I found through the AI journey, both personal and through the company, I've realized that you can have the best AI tools, but if the data is not there, you have a massive gap, and the AI is not going to get you too far. That's why I think it's important. The platform like Seqonis, it gives you that foundation, all the context, and it gives you that piece that allows you to connect the spider web to all these different systems. You're gonna have to work significantly on your data foundation to make sure things are clean and there's a point of connection. And this actually goes to Laney's question as well with the MCP style integration. One of the biggest challenges and things that you need to address is that point of connection between your different systems. Site is not going to be unanimous or the same across your different system. You might use an abbreviation in one system and the other one you're using the full name. In one, you're maybe going at the plant level, which raises complexity in how you can connect things to the MCP. The technology might be there, but it's, again, that data foundation that is more important, and the more you are working with AI, the more you realize that a lot of the questions come back to that point.
Great. Thank you. And yes, that was the second question there. So thank you for jumping on that one. Okay, next question here. My company's at various stages of AI use and adoption across our businesses. Oops, sorry, I just lost the question. Across our business units and departments. Do you have any suggestions or lessons learned for someone who has not yet gone down the operational data AI path?
Mm-hmm. Hmm. I don't know. I don't have anything specific to share for that.
No problem. Okay, so there's another fresh question in here. What are these form and search tools? Is it within Seqonis or a custom web app that ingests Seqonis data? Well, I know how I would answer that one, Alex, but since you, I think, showed a couple different tools there, do you want to maybe expand or talk a little bit about kind of how everything shakes out?
Yeah, so I think I'll touch on that, and then maybe you talk
Yeah,
on
I can go.
some of
Yep.
the stuff from Sammy as well. Yeah, so for the two last slides that I shared with the Smart Hub, that is looking into information that was curated mostly by people inside of the company, training documentation, processes. There are some agents and assistants embedded into that same Smart Hub that are looking into Seqonis data. So they're looking into the different events that have been raised. There's some that are looking into adoption of the platform across the different regions. And so you can do both ways. It's relatively simple to work with the data coming from the Seqonis platform. So
Yeah. So to add on to that, so Matt, Seqonis, the SAMI solution will look at for its search and even the chat. We'll look at all the data that it has access to. So that's going to be that operational context that the users are putting in throughout their notes and logs, et cetera, as well as any data that's been integrated in either from historian, LIMS, ERP. But then the Seqonis platform itself is that foundational data layer for AI tools. So yes, you can ingest or integrate with that data, which is kind of in line with the concept of it being that great AI enabler, if you will. Let's see, another question here. Is Seqonis using a custom AI model? Is it a locally hosted or cloud hosted AI? So I am not the most technical person in the world, so I'll give you a shot at the answer there. And I will also mention, I can also follow up with a more robust answer there. But it is AI that has been developed by our AI team. And the AI, the software, the platform itself is cloud hosted. So Jacob, thank you for your question. If you want to dive deeper into that one, don't hesitate to shoot me an email, look me up on LinkedIn, or give me a buzz, and happy to dive down on that one further. Let's see. Got a new one coming in. Another question. In Seqonis, are there skills and on-the-job training modules to address training gap? Yes. So there's a robust training module that can be added or that you have access to just by default. There's also different things that you can do to like link different types of documentation and job knowledge and job docs too. So if someone's going out to do some sort of task that you want to capture maybe via mobile device, you can also put some training literature, videos, etc., as a link out there as well. But yeah, the Seqonis platform comes with kind of your own getting up to speed 101. Here's how you do this. You watch the video to do that, then walk yourself through it. Any other questions here? I'm just scrolling through the list to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. Well, I think we are right at the quarter of mark, so we can give everyone back 15 minutes in their day. If you have any last minute questions, don't hesitate to fire them off there. But I'd like to thank everyone for their time. I hope you all got a chance to learn something today, kind of see how Bear's using uh, its. Oops, we got something in the chat here.
Yep.
Apologies. Sorry, Eugene. Let's see. Is Seqonis AI data integrity compliant and inspection ready? How are the decisions driven by Seqonis AI defense during audits? How do you present that data and its outcomes to regulatory bodies? I'm going to defer that to an offline answer. I apologize, Eugene, but I'm not the best person to answer that question. I know we have a robust team that helps with all that. We check all those boxes, but I think it's best that I get back to you on that one. All right, Eugene, I got you. Okay, so I think I'd like to thank everybody again. Appreciate you coming and spending some time with us here today. Hopefully, you've seen how the Seqonis platform can enable your broader AI journeys and have that operational data context that's very important in addition to just time series type data. You can find us online on LinkedIn at any one of these shows. And thanks again for your time, and I hope everybody has a great day. Take care.
Thank you, guys.